It is what's today? May 8th. Yeah, it's May 8th. These are people that I think are going to rise between now and draft day through pre-draft workouts, through drill work, through the combine, all that. That's how I kind of put together this list. So keep that in mind.
Okay. Locked
so you
in.
still haven't seen this list. Okay, here we go.
No. Yeah. Common Malawatch, Jeremiah Fears, Carter Bryant, Nick Clifford. I love that one. Rasheer Fleming, Jace Richardson, Will Riley, and Ryan Kalkbrenner. Let's start. I want to start with the two guys that are from outside the power conference ranks in Nick Clifford and Rasheer Fleming, because those are two guys that I kind of identified on my own as well. Talk to me. Let's do Nick Clifford first, because I don't think people are appreciating, like, I think this dude can step in and you could even plug him in right now and put him on like a playoff team's roster, and he's giving you 15 minutes and he's contributing and he's helping.
Yep. Yeah. And I think the consensus over the years was always, well, he's 23 years old, so that's going to hurt his stock. These dudes play till they're 38 now. Till they're, 35, 36, 37. It's the shelf life is extended for NBA players. So, and we've seen it over the years. I mean, I look at Clifford and think about Devin Carter and Agbaji. I mean, these guys that have been older guys that have gone in the lottery. That's where I think Neek can end up. And it's the creation, it's the shot making, particularly off the bounce, his ability to score at all three levels. He's a really, really phenomenal athlete. I think we've seen that. That's going to pop, I think, in the pre-draft process. And he's a guy that through his time at Colorado and even at Colorado State when he played with Isaiah Stevens, he's played different roles. And that's a really important facet to his game that I think allows him to translate a little bit better, I think, to the NBA level. But I agree. I think he's a guy that can come in and make an immediate impact. I mean, look at the Thunder drafting at 15. Right? Yeah. Like, I mean, that'd just be that would be a wild wild pickup for them. But Fleming I kind of threw into the ilk of like a Naz Reid / like, the importance of like those guys and Jared Vanderbilt, like these guys that can be kind of utility foremen that can, Naz in particular can step out like Fleming has proven. He's 6'9", 7'5" wingspan. I think he's going to, again, be another guy that in workouts, 1-on-1, 3-on-3, when they do these pre-draft workouts, I mean, he's another guy probably at the combine as well that will really pop in front of these scouts.
Yeah, I love both of them, right? I think Nick Clifford is probably a little bit more well-rounded, where Rasheer Fleming, you're kind of bringing him in to play a very specific role. But when you look at the percentage of your salary cap as an NBA team that has to go to your superstar, especially if you want to be able to consistently have a chance to win, and the fact that a lot of times you need like two of those superstars. Sometimes you have two guys that are on max salary, which is like a lot of money to be able to spending a lot of your cap that you're dedicating to just two guys. You need players that can come in on the cheap and do a really good job for you right off the bat. And that's where these older guys from college programs, where you can trust that they can do a job and are willing to do a job, can come in and be so valuable. Like I look at someone like a Christian Brown, right, with the Nuggets. He's averaging 15 points this year, started 77 games, and he's making $3 million a year, which allows you to have Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic and Aaron Gordon, a lot of these guys that are on much bigger salaries, that are much better players, that are going to be much more expensive. You need those guys to kind of fill out the rest of your roster. And those are two that, to me, kind of stand out more than anything else. I feel like Malawatch and Ryan Kalkbrenner are on that list for kind of the same reason. Talk me through both those guys. Malawatch specifically, because he's someone where my expectation was coming into this year, he would have a little bit more of a difficult transition to college, and I think he actually did.
Yeah, I think the further we get away from the Houston game, I think his stock is going to continue to rise, because that wasn't a good game for him. He wasn't impactful. He got pushed around a little bit, didn't get a rebound. But look, he played his role to a T at Duke as an anchor, as a defender, as a guy that you could switch out on the perimeter in some instances, and as a lob threat. He didn't need to do a ton offensively, although I think there's more in there from him offensively. So that's what I looked at for Malawatch, and we've seen some of the tantalizing videos of him being able to, I mean, I think just yesterday you saw like the 14 threes in a row that he made, and this is the exact reason why Zach Edey improved his stock last year, because I buy the ability to step out for Malawatch. And that's not to say he's going to come in and shoot 6 threes a game. It's the fact that you at least have to think about him and how that opens up
Yep.
your offense, what that makes him as a guy that you can move around on the floor, in addition to him obviously being probably primarily a lob threat. And then, I don't know, what are your thoughts there on Malawatch? And when I say riser, he's more I see him in like the 6 to 8 range, but I could totally see a team convincing themselves at 4, right? Given the fit, 4 or 5, saying like, hey, 4 years of organized basketball, 5, whatever it is, let's buy into it. I mean, think about the Sixers. What's the shelf life on Embiid? I mean, there's a lot I think you can look at there.
I'm a little bit lower on him, I think, than you are overall, because when you're drafting up there, especially in like the 4, 5, 6 range, and you have guys like Ace Bailey and Trey Johnson and FJ, I think you got to take the lottery ticket potential when it comes to guys in that range. I do think that Malawatch is going to be a good pro and he's going to hang around for a while for all the reasons that you just mentioned, right? Like, and I think a lot of those boxes get checked with Ryan Kalkbrenner as well, in terms of being an elite rim protector, really, really good defensively, that could step out a little bit and shoot it more, a little bit more of a perimeter playmaker than he probably got credit for because of what he did in college and the way that he played at Duke. But I think I think that there's all-star potential with like 4 or 5 guys in this draft. And if you have a chance to draft an all-star with the number 5 pick, I think you got to take it, as opposed to getting a guy that can, maybe if he ends up being Clint Capella, you're having a really good draft year. You know what I'm saying? Like that's my only hang up with Malawatch. I think he's kind of reached the top of where his ceiling can be. What was the rest of that list? Can you bring that back up, Dagan, just so we can kind of go over the last couple of guys on there? Jeremiah, Carter Bryant. Let's get to Carter Bryant. Carter Bryant is a really, really interesting one to me, because I think you mentioned someone earlier about being one of the big swing. Yax. You mentioned Yax is one of the big swing guys in the draft. To me, the single biggest swing guy in the draft right now, with where we know where he would come back to, is Carter Bryant at Arizona. I think this dude coming back to school would be out of his mind. To me, he is a lottery pick. I thought the last month of the season
I think
was absolutely phenomenal for him.
No, he was, and I think he could slide into the top 10. To be honest, I think when you look at the length, the shooting, I think it was lower volume, but his catch and shoot numbers unguarded was 46% this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's the comp that I would give him when you watch him, because I think the tools that he has physically translate to being a potentially really elite defender at the NBA level. I think he can be that. The shooting is good. He's a 2 dribble guy. I don't think you want him doing more than that. Like, he reminds me a lot of Indiana OG Anunoby. And it's the same time. I don't know if he'll have that type of effect that it could, but same type of thing can be an elite defender. Can obviously space the floor, prove that this year, and is kind of that like 1 to 2 dribble, probably single read type of guy. I'm really high on Carter Bryant. I think it would be nuts if he came back to Arizona, but it's certainly, like you're saying, would boost and completely rework how we think about the Wildcats coming into the season.
Yeah, look, when you are 6'8", you can guard 3s and 4s. You can knock down wide open 3s. You have the ability to play off the bounce, and it's very clear that like your projection is still going this direction, right? Like you get better throughout the year. Those are the guys that NBA teams salivate over as a role, not as a star. Like, I don't know if he's going to end up being an all-star caliber player. I do think that in 2 years, 3 years, like, he's a 15, 16 point per game guy that's guarding all over the floor, that's switching everything, that's starting, that's making 40% of his threes, that is like the perfect 3rd or 4th option for a playoff team, right? And if you can get a guy like that with the 10th pick of the draft, like, I think you got to go do it. And I think that you pay him whatever it takes. And there's no amount of money that Arizona can pay that would be more than the amount of guaranteed money that he's going to get when he goes pro. Like, Tommy, I'm sorry. Arizona fans, I'm sorry, but like, this dude, Carter, you got to go, man. Go to the league. I don't know what your agents are telling you. I don't know what people are telling you, but go. It's your time, brother. It's your time. Then the Jace Richardson one is the last really interesting one I wanted to kind of hit you on, because he was one of there's just something about a lefty that is that smooth with like the snatchback and the step backs and like the way that he creates space, I don't know if it's just like a lefty thing because we're not used to seeing it, but like, what is it about these lefty shooters where it's just they're so tantalizing to watch, and you can't stop them.
Dude,
Like you know what's coming, and you can't stop it.
it's funny because I was folding laundry in my room while I was watching the NBA playoffs, and I have a mirror in my room that reflects towards the TV. So then all these righties in the NBA playoffs look like lefties. And every time they shot, I'm like, God, that looks unbelievable. It just looks. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. But with Jace, I think you saw what he did for Michigan State this year. But when you just look at where the NBA game has gone, how ball screen dominant it is, how efficient he was in ball screens, how great he was in the intermediate floaters. He was still really strong and long finishing around the rim. The 3-point shooting is obviously there. The lineage is obviously there with his dad. I think he's a better athlete. And that sounds crazy. Jason Richardson's son is a better athlete than we give him credit for, but I think he is a better athlete than we give him credit for. So all of that I think is going to bake in. And I think I've seen him towards the, right now it looks like he's kind of like back towards the, maybe 12, 13, back part of the lottery. But again, he's another guy that wouldn't surprise me if you hear his name get called 8th or 9th. Like that's not crazy at all given the tools that he has.
You need one team to fall in love with you, and maybe they trade up to go get you. Maybe it's just, you're projected in the 14th, but whoever's picking 8th is just like, yeah, we got to get this kid. Like you just need one team like Zack Edey last year, right? Everyone was like, this guy's probably going to be mid to late first round pick. Memphis was like, that's our dude. We're going to go up and get him. And he ends up working well. And I'll say this, the thing, I love taking the victory lap as much as anybody, but I think that I was high on Zack Edey heading into the draft. And I think when you look at him, there are guys where I compared that. You might think this is crazy, but I compared him to like a Chet Holmgren or a Zion Williamson or these guys where they're physical tools. You can't necessarily project guys that are built like them up to the next level. Like you don't see guys that are built like that having success while they're also completely dominating the college level of the game. And I think that you could see that translate with Zack Edey, right? Like he's just, we've never seen any, like literally have never seen anything like him before at that level of college basketball, have the success that he had. And there was no doubt in my mind that he was going to be able to go to the NBA and find a way to be able to make something work with a creative coach and a guy like Ja next to him. Like it was so obvious. My favorite thing in the NBA this season was when Draymond Green found out that like you can't fuck with Zack Edey. Like you got a 7 foot floor.
Right? Go ahead. Like people were going at me because I was banging the drum for Zack Edey pre-draft as well. I said, well, they're like, well, he doesn't step out and shoot threes. I said, if he doesn't pan out in the NBA, it won't be because he can't step out and shoot threes. It's going to be all the other stuff. But he's shown that you have a role. Like look at how much of an impact Steven Adams had for the Rockets in that series against the Warriors. Like, dude, just be an enforcer. If you're an enforcer that can get extra possessions offensively, you got a place in the league. But the thing that people forget about Zack Edey, they're like, oh, well, he was just scoring on college kids at 7'4". He's tough as shit at 7'4". Like he's not like a big thing as charming, dude. He's like he's tough, he's smart, and then by the way, he's 7'4" with a 7'10" and a half wingspan. I mean, like I talked about Kalkbrenner being a bit of a riser, and when I say riser, I'm thinking like second round. Wouldn't be shocked to hear him go 28th, but he has a 7'5" wingspan. I mean, think about 5 extra inches on the wingspan that Edey has. I mean, that's why those guys pan out. And by the way, he shot the cover off the ball in Chicago at the Combine. And then that's how you end up getting into the top 10.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't want to turn this into the Zack Edey rave fest, but the idea that anybody thought that dude was soft or you could push him around, like, come on, man. Did you watch any college basketball at all? That dude is an absolute serial killer, right? And I mean that with the utmost possible compliment when you by calling somebody a serial killer. But that dude is nuts. He's strong. He's physical. You do not fuck with him and you do not push him around. He's a 7'4" dude from Canada that came into college and won back-to-back national players of the year. Like I guarantee he's heard everything under the sun said to him. He's scared of Draymond Green. Draymond Green's a foot smaller than him, dude.
You know what the telltale sign was?
7'4". He's 7'4", 300 pounds, came up as a baseball player and a hockey player in Canada, came down to the United States, and like he's not scared. I promise you that dude is not scared of a single person in the NBA.
The one thing too that I know for a fact I didn't do when I watched Zack Edey at Purdue, and I'm sure you didn't do either, is so many guys that's not that size. He's a unicorn, but guys that are around that size, you have that moment where you're watching, and you're like, dude, you're 7'4". Like, dude, you're 7.
Yeah.
Like, realize that you're 7'4". He is fully aware that he's 7'4", and he's fully aware that he's almost 300 pounds. Yeah. So I think he's, again, like, if you have the IQ to go along with the size, and you are willing to accept a role. I mean, I know we're talking about Zack Edey, but it's a broader point for all these guys in the draft, is like the dudes that can't accept their role, the guys that just want to be kind of heliocentric scorers. Like, dude, we got Devin Booker for that. Right? We got Trae Young for that.
Devin Booker.
Can you
you're not Devin Booker. You're not Trae Young.
Can you fall into these other roles? If you can't, then you won't pan out in the league. And the good guys have gone ahead and done that.